Just when America has reached a breaking point with division, visionary influencer Danni Benson's I'm Proud of You Sis bro movement taps into the pulse and heartbeat of a culture radically torn. But this loving mom's voice of reason and calm has received national recognition.
How do you balance having your children and always traveling with the Yankee organization?
When I became a dad, I said that I would always love like a mother.
I feel like I have to try certain things or act a different way because I know some people or some kids.
So join Danni Benson as she celebrates her special guests on her show and highlights their gifts and contributions to our world.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining I'm Proud of You Sis podcast. Please like, share, follow, and comment. Today, I have two special guests. You know, the show is I'm Proud of You Sis, and sometimes I do I'm Proud of You Bro, and I want to send these two men their cigars because they are doing fabulous things out there and really fast, too, because, you know, there's like millions of podcasts right now. But I was lucky enough to be on their podcast a couple of weeks ago. But the cool thing about their show is, which I love, is they're completely kind of opposite. You know what I mean? One. Number two, they do sound effects, which makes you chuckle a lot, especially you're so not used to hearing the sound effects, so that makes it different. But first, Chad Fernandez, he is actually a fitness trainer. He's a founder of Iron Lion Fitness, New York City. He is a co-host of More Than a Title. Also, Chad and Jarrett are cousins. So Jarrett Thomas is a digital creator. He's also the co-host of More Than a Title. As of April 2nd of 2024, they've had over 250,000 views on their YouTube alone, and they're on all streaming platforms. And they really started about 5-6 months ago. So their trajectory of hitting 1 million views is basically going to happen most likely in 2024. So I'm here to give them their cigars, and I just want to know the secrets of podcasting and how did they come about to, you know, join forces, and any gems they want to drop for the audience. So welcome Chadeo and Jarrett to I'm Proud of You Sis. I'm proud of you, bro. Hey guys, how are you?
Doing well, Queen. Appreciate you for having us.
Well, first of all, I'm so proud of you because when you guys posted 250,000 views last week, and you guys only been running for 6 months, I was like, wow. I was like, that's what's up. So first of all, I want to say I'm proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you, bros. You know, that's a new term now, bro. But I am proud of you, bros, because you know what? So many podcasts out, but you guys are sticking out like a sore thumb. And I want to know, first of all, where did the sound effects come into play? Because no one's doing that. And I love it, actually. It brings comedy into the podcast. It makes people laugh. And, you know, you guys do serious topics, but also in between the serious topics, you guys put a little laughter in it because, you know, life is, you know, yin and yang. You know, there's good things that happen, there's bad things that happen. So you guys embrace all of it, full circle. So first of all, who came up with the sound effects? Because I love it.
we came up with it. Thought we both did. We thought about just adding something, just flavor to it, right? Like, so I think we implemented like early season 3 or something like that, like the message and stuff like that. So our main goal was, how do we implement culture into our conversation, right? We didn't just want to have some monotone conversation where we're speaking to somebody for an hour and we're just asking questions. And we were thinking, like, what can we do to be more memorable? One, from the business side, but also from the Main Street side. How do we compete with the Earn Your Leisures of the world, the Revolts and things like that? And we needed a differentiator. And it's become a staple now. Now people come on, they want to get a message. They want to get a whoa. They want to get something. So it just gives us, you know, something to stand on. And we appreciate all the feedback we've been getting from the fans and stuff. So that's something that's really dope. That's us. I'm waiting for the message now. Where's it at? You're the only person that can use it.
You should copyright it because I don't want to do a message because you guys came with it first, right? So if everyone starts doing it, you guys would be the gold standard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You guys would be the first ones who actually like introduce that. So I don't want to copy you guys. You know, I want to emulate, but I don't want to copy to like, you know, to the point that everyone thinks like I'm more than a title. Maybe I'll be Mrs. More than a title. I don't know how you others would feel about that.
Listen, you know, a lot of successful morning shows and stuff like that, they always have like two guys and a female or something like that. So you know, it's definitely a missing segment to it. You never know. We can have some talks. I want to clear something up really quickly, because we don't believe in spreading misinformation. So the podcast did not start 6 months ago. Okay, the podcast, my cousin has been actually doing this podcast. We stopped doing seasons at season 4, which was right around 100 episodes, right? We're 100 episodes plus. And my cousin has been doing this for the better part of 2 years because he's the original host by himself before I came on and midway through season 3. What the 250,000 represents is we weren't actually posting on YouTube. My cousin is a affluent user of LinkedIn. He's a Black voice to amplify and follow, and he's one of the top Black voices on LinkedIn. So we would only go live on LinkedIn because one, our platform is based on business and marketing, and that's where the money's at, right? So everything we did was strategic. We didn't really take YouTube seriously. Okay, and most of our business came from LinkedIn, right? But as we started to grow, we said we have to introduce ourselves to different channels, right? Because different people are looking for different things. And we started taking YouTube seriously about 6 months ago. So the 250,000 is actually roughly a 6 month benchmark. We started taking it seriously, started posting in September of last year to April of now. So, you know, do the math on that, 6-7 months. So we're at 250,000 in about 7 months, which is still by any means phenomenal. But the show was up and running already. I don't want people to think that we just started the show 6 months ago and we've achieved that kind of success because we believe on being transparent.
Yeah. We were charting in the business category before we went on YouTube.
Before we even went on YouTube, we were charting on Apple already. So
it just tells you about our audience, but we actually invested into in person. We want to scale the podcast, right? So we were like, yeah, how do we change? What kind of, if people are loving the virtual, what kind of impact will we have if we actually get them in the studio, have the conversation? And we were grateful enough to have our brother Champ come on from My Expert Opinion. We met him at a spot. He, said he wanted to come on the show, support us. We invested the money. We didn't know how to do it in person. We went and got the cameras, rented the studio, did all the stuff, didn't know how to edit.
Our most expensive produced episode to date.
Yeah, and this is why we're virtual. Straight up.
It's a big difference.
A big difference. So to give the audience context, right? For that one episode, we probably paid well over $2,000 just to produce that one episode, easily. Right? So we were like, how are we gonna? We got to put this everywhere for $2,000. I'm putting it everywhere, and I'm gonna post it 3 times a day, damn near. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we end up doing.
First of all, why so expensive? What is the cost?
Ooh, everything.
So it's a mixed cost. One, and this is everybody's preference, but if you don't have your own professional studio, that's one. Because we do it virtually, Jarrett's in one location, I'm in a different location, right? But when you're doing in person, you have to have a place that's suitable for podcasting. So we rented a professional studio downtown that is designed for podcasting. So it's the studio. Then you have to rent the equipment. Then you have to rent the engineer to come in and set up the equipment, right? And we also had to rent the digital cameras because we had at least 2 or 3 digital cameras to catch every angle. So it's like a la carte, right? Every single thing costs, right? And then also, even though Champ did it for free for us, as any artist, as you know, Danny, any artist or anything that does a show, sometimes they'll request things, right? Normally when you sign them through a contract, they'll request things like in their rider, I want this, I want that in my dressing room. So he requested certain types of alcohol and things of that nature. So we went out and purchased that. Along with, now we don't live down there, so paying to get down there, the parking lot fees, et cetera, and then editing the whole thing down. So, when you add everything up and, it gets kind of pricey.
But I want to give a shout out to my producer, Bobby, Strong Island. Bobby actually does everything that you guys just said. So anyone, if you're looking for a studio, you can work out a deal with Bobby. He does the same exact thing. But I decided to go virtual because it was easier for me to get guests because they didn't have to come to the location, and everybody is so busy sometimes that sometimes it's just easier for me to just get them on because they don't have to take the time to travel, and I don't have to have a rider, you know, all these other stuff that needs to be done. So, but I want to say, first of all, how was Champ? You guys just went to an event with Champ. Why was he the guest that you wanted to come on? Like, what is his importance in the industry that you felt that if he came on, it would give you guys more of a highlight to more than a title?
Simply put, we were just fans of the show. We were fans of My Expert Opinion. We actually met them through a mutual friend. Shout out to Big Hani. We met her, met them through Big Hani through Catch These Compliments, and then Math Hoffa happened to be there. Champ, Mac was also coach, Chastity. The whole entire My Expert team, Expert Opinion team was there, and then we just vibed. We just vibed with Champ. Like from initial first meeting, it was just, hey man, we're fans with this. He's like, man, how can I help you guys? What's up? I see what you guys got going on. He looked at our page, subscribed immediately. He was like, man, any way I can help you guys. And we exchanged numbers. And a lot of people, in this industry, sometimes they'll say some stuff and then they'll Hill you and be like, all right, you know what I mean? I said it, but I ain't really doing it. And he was somebody that was true to his word. And because we're fans of the show, and definitely with the notoriety of the show, we definitely would love to have him on, build that relationship, and make it happen. And it's definitely one of our most watched, viewed episodes to this day, especially the clips. Yeah. The clips are flying.
It's also a respect thing that we had, right?
Absolutely.
We understood that at that point we were up and coming. Our numbers weren't doing what our numbers are doing now, right? We're averaging easily 60 to 70,000 views a month, easily. Back then we were struggling 2,000-3,000, and he was on a podcast which is one of actually the #1 podcasts in the United States, period, right? They're averaging millions of views. So when you ask somebody of that stature for a favor, because that's what we're asking for, do us a favor, come on our podcast. He can easily say, if I come on your podcast, it's going to be 10 times, 100 times more beneficial to you than it's going to be for me. That's what my cousin is saying. He could have Varnell Hilled us. He could have made an empty promise and didn't fulfill it. So we felt like, look, to show you that we're serious, we will rent the studio. We will do it in person, because all of your guests that you do in your show are in person. We can at least provide you the same type of experience to show you that we're willing to invest, to show you that we're serious. And he respected that. And I think that was the tipping point to have him come on our show, because he said it live on our show that there was a lot of other shows that invited him on that he told him, I'm not coming on your show.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let everyone know the importance of networking.
Shit, networking is everything. We build our whole business around networking and building relationships. So for anybody listening, we do have a course for LinkedIn, how to build relationships and revenue. And that's basically what it is. To give you context, right? Before we started the podcast, I was doing sales, right? And I'm sitting there reaching out to people, making 1,000 cold calls. I'm like, that's not effective. I do 1,000 cold calls. I get 3 people on the phone. Out of those 3 people, who's going to really buy? Right. So I was like, man, let me build a brand, because at the end of the day, if people get to know who I am and like me, I'm more susceptible to increase my sales numbers and close more. So I just went on LinkedIn every single morning. I was just pulled out my phone, no editing, no anything. I picked a topic specific to business or life, SEO, whatever it was. And I did that consistently for 90 days. After that 90-day period, I would go get lunch in Manhattan and people are stopping us trying to ask for pictures and autographs and stuff. Once I saw that, I'm like, it's game over. I'm going to double down on this thing. And then I just started creating content. And then when the pandemic happened, we started the podcast called Rankable. And I was like, so instead of me reaching out cold callers, let me get you on the show, learn who you are. Let's have a random conversation. And let's see if you'll throw me a bone after you actually have a relationship with me. And then we ended up closing $2 million worth of business from that agency, from the podcast and through personal branding. So relationships are everything. It's not what you know, it's who you know and who's willing to help you. You know what I mean? So we all need help at some point. And it's super valuable, man. To anybody, for context, right? I'm in the Bronx. I'm on my couch. I've been doing it for 3 years. And the people that we spoke to, like the Dr. Knowles, the AD Dolphins, we about to have Peter Quillen, a former middleweight champion, come on the show today. Like, all relationships and being genuine. So if you want to build relationships, just be yourself, y'all. That's what we do every day. We lead with ourselves. We lead with being genuine. We don't ask anybody for anything. And we just keep on fighting the good fight.
And Chad, what's the importance of keeping your word? Like when you meet people, right? You know how some people say, we're going to help you out, we're going to come through, but they don't. Yeah. So what is the importance of you guys keeping your word when you say you're going to do something and you follow through?
For me, I build everything on what I consider to be my core principles, right? These are the principles that this is how I live my life in general. Whether it's a business relationship, a personal relationship, it doesn't matter. Family, I just live with a set of principles, and one of the main principles. I come from an era where they used to say, "Your word is bond. Your word is bond. Word is bond." Right? Word is bond.
You didn't even have to sign a contract or
Right,
nothing.
right.
Hands,
You know, if
that
you
was it.
if you think about really, really back in the days, like when the real gangsters and the real, criminals were doing things, a lot of stuff was not. Are you thinking criminals are writing fucking contracts? Excuse me. You think criminals are writing pieces of paper about illicit act? No, it was a handshake. I shake your hand, you give me your word, I give you my word. That they're not writing down no. Yeah, we're gonna do all of this illegal stuff. Anybody want no record of what we doing? No, it was a verbal exchange, and you gave that man your word, and your word was your bond, right? I think that as a society, as a culture, we have strayed away from that. I'm from a culture where your word is everything. If you can't be trusted, then you can't survive, period, because trust is everything. So I live my life by those principles. If I say I'm going to do something, I at least try my best to do it. Now, we're all human. I make mistakes. I fail sometimes. Sometimes I might have the best intentions and don't get the best outcome. But there's a difference between trying to do something that you said you would do and not trying. So that's it. Anybody I meet, if I can't do it, I'll tell you ahead of time. I can't do it. What you think about me because I can't do it is up to you. I really don't care, because I'm not going to make you an empty promise that I know, one, I don't want to keep, or two, I just physically or economically can't keep. So if I give you my word and I say I'm going to do something, then you can believe that I'm going to try my best to honor that. And that's it. That's just how I live my life.
Yeah.
So Beyonce just dropped Cowboy Carter.
Okay.
And a few weeks ago, you guys had her dad on, Matthew Knowles. So tell me, like, your hustle, how did you guys make that happen? Just to give people
my cousin. My cousin did
There's
that.
so many people doing podcasts, right? But I'm just trying to figure out, like, what is our magic? Like, how do you get the #1 artist dad on your show?
Yeah.
So 2 years of taking those.
Yeah.
2 years of taking those. So we were connected on LinkedIn, right? So I always would shoot the shot, and see if Matthew knows. I connect with him on LinkedIn. We're actually a first level connection, so I could DM him directly. I was like, man, hey, man, I'm a big fan. Obviously, of course, I was talking about my business stuff. I'm like, I have a podcast. Hit me with the nope, I don't do that. I was like, oh, come on, brother, please, baby. He's like, nope, I don't do that. I'm like, but we do the CEOs and CMOs. He's like, nah, I don't do that. I'm not C-suite. I'm like, all right, cool, man. But what I would do is, when it's Christmas, birthdays, happy birthday, King, hope all is well, Merry Christmas, stuff like that. Even if I didn't get a response, it was just showing the activity. I'm thinking about you. And then we just have consistency, right? So I'm in sales, so you have to, persistence pays. If anybody's listening, persistence pays. So we finally actually met a brother named Vinny at Podfest. We knew him through LinkedIn. We met at Podfest, and Vinny happened to have Dr. Knowles on his show. So I'm like, oh shit, there it goes. Boom, went right back to Dr. Knowles. Hey man, I saw you on Vinny's show. It was dope. Like I'm just like, yo, that's what's up, man. I would still love you, have you on my show. I'm the brother. What's up, baby? And he was like, man, hit up my assistant. We went through a process internally with their team, with Music World. Shout out to the entire team at Music World for being accommodating. And then we made it happen, set the date. And the brother was there 5-10 minutes early, and his energy was just infectious, man. He was like, man, behind the scenes, like, I can't wait. I'm going to get one of these messages. I was like, oh, man, that made our day, man. The fact that he looked and it was like, y'all, I like what you guys are doing. I like you guys aren't clickbait. And he was willing to give us his time, which he didn't have to. So shout out to Dr. Knowles, man. It's nothing but love.
Let me add to that what made his interview so special. And this is what we appreciate about our guest, right? He took the time to actually look at the podcast before he came on. So he knew what to expect. One of his first words was, listen, I've been looking forward to this podcast all day. I've been watching your podcast. I like what you guys are doing. I love your message. By the time the podcast was over, he was thanking us. If you actually watched our podcast with him, we didn't bring up Beyonce not one time. We didn't bring up Jay-Z. We didn't bring, because we don't, it's no diss. We don't care about them. We didn't bring you on the show to ask you about your daughter. We didn't try to get your daughter on the show. We brought you on the show to ask you about success as a Black man, as a family man, the dynamics of everything that looks like. That was the message we wanted you to give back to the culture. So he was so impressed that he actually opened himself up to an open invitation to come back on to the show. And we actually accepted and said you would have an open invitation to come back to the show anytime you want, which, if we could throw it out there since we on Danny's show, we could give an exclusive.
Why not?
you know, we'll give you an exclusive. You know, in June 25th anniversary of Destiny's Child, things coming out in June, something like that. Dr. Note is coming back on the show to give us an exclusive and all that.
Yeah, so the episode right before Father's Day, I think it's
Right
the
before
13th, we're locking in.
Like the third week of June. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? So
That's what's up.
so once again, right, it goes from, listen to what my cousin said, it goes from no, I technically have connected with you, but I don't know you, to now we have his direct phone number, direct email, and now we're building a relationship based on what? Trust, right? Because we asked him to do us a favor. And when he came on the show, we treated him with respect and dignity and things of that nature. And he respected it so much that now he would like to build with us, right? And that's how you start the building process.
Absolutely.
So what is there any, like, he's Dr. Knowles, he's a dad. Is there any gems that he dropped to both of you bros?
It was a lot.
How many?
It was a lot. I think the biggest one I took away from, at least from a parenting perspective, he was like, just follow what your kids' passions are. A lot of time, us as parents, we just like, hey, I play basketball, so I want you to play basketball. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. And it's really just looking at what your child is gravitating to and making sure they have the resources possible. He said, what is the line he said? He said, if Beyonce wanted to be a doctor,
I'd have bought her a hospital.
I'd have bought her a hospital.
Crazy.
So just to say that, so to put that in perspective, if my daughter wanted to be a doctor, I would have bought her a hospital.
Right.
Now, imagine if all of us in the Black community as parents thought like that, right? If we supported our children that way, where further would we be as a culture? And this brother's a walking testament of not just talking it, but walking it. So
absolutely
gotta respect it.
Yeah, man. He again, and I'm not being funny, but there is so much that we can learn from this man, because yes, he's a Black father, and he was born in a different economic area, right? Economic area, geographic area, but the struggle is the same in poverty everywhere, right? But a lot of key takeaways that we can take from him is, the bottom line is he navigated his circumstances, right? Not only did he navigate it, he built a family, right? And then he built a business, and then he helped his family build a business, which ultimately turned into a legacy, right? That is extremely important for the Black and brown community to understand how to do that, because he's part of what we consider to be the 1%. It is not a lot of people that will even reach anywhere near his level, and he's not even the top, right? His daughter done surpassed him, right? But it just goes to show you the power of motivation, the power of knowledge. What he set in motion, his daughter took to the next level, which look at what her daughter is doing already now, right? Blue Ivy, right? She already has businesses and art, and
she already won a Grammy.
She has a Grammy. So now imagine what level she's going to take it to. And if you continue with this type of teaching and this type of learning, then her children, you understand, then generationally now they will create such a powerhouse that, it'll become a true dynasty. And I think that's what every, family should strive to try to achieve and create.
And I think that's why it's important to pour into your children. People need to understand that you can't depend on the school system to pour into your children. You are the CEO of your kid's life, and you can't just sit there and say, well, they're going to school. No, you have to pour into your children. You have to tell them also what books to read. You have to give them knowledge. If you want them to be the best or whatever you have to be, you can't only depend on a school system to give them that. You as a parent have to pour in and invest in your children so they can do the legacy. You're great, but you want your kids to surpass you. That's what it's supposed to be. You want your kids to be better than you and their kids better than you. And that's how you pass the baton, and that's how the race continues. And that's how the legacy continues. It's not about, some people are like, me, go to school. I got to do me first. And if I win, I'll pass it on to you. No, you find a way to do it together.
Yeah.
You find a way to pour it together, because time doesn't wait for no one. So as you're saying, me, your kid is just getting older. So if you're not pouring into them as soon as they're born, when is it going to be the time for you to pour into them, for them to understand the meaning and value of the gems that you're giving them? So it's great that you mentioned parents and fathers, especially because I think fathers are important in both sons and daughters' lives.
Tell that to Hallmark. I'm tired of going to Walmart on Father's Day, and the Father's Day card section, there's about 4 cards in there. But the Mother's Day, you got 3 whole sections, 3.
And you know what we have to do? We have to change the narrative. No, we have to change the narratives, because dads do contribute in the success of a daughter's or son's life, because each parent has a different personality.
Absolutely.
Each parent has a different journey. So what I bring in as a mom, their dad will bring something else, another perspective. You don't want your kids so monolithic that they only think one way.
That's it.
Right?
That was a message, just so you know.
Message.
If you had a message, that
Message,
was the message right there. Now you got the baby for that.
Message.
Okay, Danny,
So basically on their
start
show,
using
when I
this.
give a message, because next time I come on their show, I'm gonna be dropping messages because I love the way it sounds.
You can use
It's like
this.
a reward thing for me. It's like I said something smart. Message. So basically, when I just dropped their show, they would have came out with something, a baby, swallowing milk, just to let people know this is an important moment. Pay attention to this. Like, it draws attention to what they just said. So that's why I like it. It's basically like exclamation points.
Yeah.
Anytime something happens, you want people to know, if you didn't get this, when you go back again, go back to this point, because this was a message. This was a point that was significant throughout the whole podcast. So that's why, first of all, I love your podcast. First of all, I love both of you guys. You guys are like my new bros. You know what I mean?
We proud of you, sis.
My new bros, but you know what it is? I believe in you guys so much. I went through a podcast. I saw your moms on Friday. Yeah. So now I get to see where you guys both get your personalities from.
Mama.
You got it from your dad too, but your moms were off the chain, and that's why I put in the text, have them come back for Mother's Day.
Yeah,
for sure.
Do a Mother's Day show. Because they have so much experience that they could drop gems for the audience who are watching, especially the females out there. Chad, your mom was a single parent. Yeah. Jarrett, was your mom a single parent too?
No.
She's married.
That's our mom and pops. Yeah.
Yeah, still married.
So your parents are still married, Jarrett?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jarrett. Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So give me that dichotomy of, Chad, your mom was basically a single parent, because you guys are cousins, versus Jarrett, your parents are together. What do you feel that one person got missed out on versus the other person? Because you came from a 2-parent household, Chad came from 1-parent household. Do you think it really matters in the success of a child?
It does matter for sure. It does matter for sure. But what made it, I don't think we necessarily missed out on anything, because once again, like my experience is completely different from Chad's experience, right? Things that he went through, I'm not going to understand. Things that I went through, he's not going to understand. But guess what? We come together and share that knowledge collectively, right? And also my family is just big on just showing love, making sure we had the right. So my uncle, was a big influence in Cuzzo's life. Uncle Butch, all right, rest in peace, God rest his soul. And he was just somebody that, just always was, make sure you do this, make sure you do your homework, stay out the streets, do this. And, for me and my pops, it was my perspective. It changed my perspective. So I saw my mom's going. She was assistant principal for 25 years, right? My pops bust his ass from 7 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, didn't finish high school, didn't have a diploma, figured it out, still got him. I don't know how he got to the Board of Ed without a high school diploma. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it all networking, not what you know, but who you know. Got into the system, worked his way up, became a school aide, became one of the directors of school aide, became one of the directors of custodian. He would work in school during the day, and then change his clothes in the same building and clean the whole building. Yeah. So my pops did for 27 years to put us through Catholic school. So me looking at that is like the opportunity where he had to sacrifice for me to just get an education. Now, how the hell can I mess that off?
I feel the same way. I went to private school too, Catholic school too. So I feel the same way. Like how they work so hard for us. How would I ever fuck that up? You know what I mean? That means it would be all for nothing. The sacrifice would have been all for nothing. So I get what you're saying. And do you pour that into your child? Because I know you have children, Jarrett. Mm-hmm. Do you do the same thing? Like have you paid it forward to your children?
Oh. Absolutely. Everything we're doing is to pay for it. Everything where we're on the podcast, while we open the business, while we're not in corporate anymore, is to show them, right? And then I showed them the good, bad, and the ugly. I showed them everything. Daddy's going to struggle some days. Daddy's going to go through it some days. Daddy's going to have some really cool days. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just showing them everything. And then with my oldest son, I walk him through the business, right? What it takes, right? What do we have to invest? What really goes through it? We bring them, when we had an in-person with Champ, he was right there in the studio with us. The whole interview, you know what I mean? Holding the camera, taking notes, right? What do we do? So I absolutely pour on my children. That's what it's for, man. If it's not for that, then
what is it for, right?
What is it for? And I'll tell them that, right? So what Pops did for me, I didn't want to say that was all for nothing. So you see what I'm doing right now. Do you want this to be all for nothing? And that's the message that I'm moving forward with both my boys.
Message.
We gotta get you something. We gotta get you.
You gotta give me a button or something. I need a button to be like,
We gotta optimize your stream, y'all.
We're gonna optimize it for you. Don't worry, Billy. Don't worry. We're not gonna take no credit away from you, player. We're gonna let you do your thing, but we're gonna help you out. You know what I'm saying? And according to StreamYard, Billy, this is not our words. According to StreamYard, we do have one of the best StreamYards on the platform. Period. This is from the StreamYard people themselves.
Yeah.
Our show is different.
Well, this is why I'm so proud of you, bros. This is why guys. First of all, I'm so fortunate you guys came on, because when you guys really blow up, I could be like, yo, I was part of it. I remember. You know how people be doing flashbacks and stuff like that. That's why I always believe in people, because your vision, their vision is not your vision. So if they see something that I don't see, doesn't mean that they're not going to accomplish it. And that's when I meet people all the time. I'm like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because my vision is my vision. Your vision is your vision. Whatever you see will happen, because you have put in the steps to get there, right? So I hate when people bust people's like dreams and be like, yo, you can't do it, because you're really projecting, because it's not really your dream. So you can't do it. Right. So that's why I believe in you guys. And like, you know, you mentioned like the Earn Your Leisures. I mean, I think you guys are going to surpass Earn Your Leisures, because I even was telling Chad that Earn Your Leisure now they have a spinoff podcast called, you know, Blackout. You know what I mean? And I think like they're looking at you guys, you know, just like you studied the competition, they're studying the competition. So, you know, I just want to say that you guys are doing great things, because if people are copying you, I take that as a compliment more than a negative thing. Do you understand what I mean? So Chad, talk to me a little bit about your upbringing. You were raised in a single parent home.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you missed out not having a 2-parent home, or you feel like you wouldn't be what you are today if you didn't have your journey?
Of course, I feel like I missed out. I mean, again, learning from my mom is dope, but you know, and I teach this to my sons, and I have 2 boys as well. Let me tell you something real funny. For everybody that don't know, let me just tell you how this thing works out. Like, and you really can't write this, right? This is like scripted shit. Like if this was a movie, you'd be like, nah, it's no way. So me and Jarrett are cousins. We both have 2 boys. Both our mama's named Renee. Both of them are both Scorpios. You can't, I'm telling you, and they grew up a block and a half away from, you can't make this shit up.
Wow. That's amazing. So it was kismet. It was meant to be. It was written before you guys were born.
Yeah. So you know, one of the teachings that I always teach the women that I've had children with, I said, let me explain something to you. You can be, you know, 2 things can always be true. And again, this is where I think society keeps going wrong, because you feel like you get one truth and there can't be another truth. And you got to stop thinking like that. I could be like, look, you can be a phenomenal mom, but I can also be a phenomenal dad, right? And they're like, yeah, okay, so let's run with that. So if you're a phenomenal mom, then there's things that you can teach our son that I cannot, because I am not a woman, and there's only certain things that a woman from experience can teach anybody, right? But guess what? You're not a man, right? So if we're raising a young black man, then you need to let a young black man raise a young black man, and let me be the primary. I truly believe that the child should, if you're not together, right, as a couple, as Jarrett parents were, 2-family household, I truly believe that the child should not grow up with any singular parent for the life long of their growth until they become an adult. I believe that in the earlier years, especially as a boy, especially as a young man, in the earlier years, yes, it's okay to be with the mother, let her nurture him and you know, that bond and stuff. But as that boy starts to get right under the preteen years, now you should let the father take over, because those are the most important years where now he needs to learn man values and man traditions, right? And a woman just cannot teach that, right? And if they do not learn that, then the bottom line is, if that child now becomes, you know, ineffective in dealing with women and et cetera, then you have yourself to blame, because you didn't put that child's life first, right? So we got to stop being selfish. We have to stop putting our own emotions in front of the children's best needs.
Interest.
You understand what I'm saying? So as parents, we have to make that decision. Look, it's not about me. It's not about you, right? If we're not together, it's about the child. So let's collectively say what is best for our child. So with that being said, you know, yes, there was a lot I missed out on because I didn't have a father like Jarrett's father to have a role model to see every day. See, I didn't see that role model every day with somebody getting up, going to work, two jobs. I didn't get that lesson. You understand? So the lessons that I received were from my uncles, right? Which is, you know, and also the men that my mother dated. You understand what I'm saying? So, but I was fortunate, and I mean this from the bottom of my soul. I was very fortunate that Jarrett's side of the family, it wasn't only his uncle. His uncle's just the most influential, but he has a lot of cousins that were camp counselors in the center. And his family was always, and I mean always, involved with me and always was a positive light, trying to get me to kind of like understand what I was doing wasn't the right thing, and trying to give me a better direction to follow. What they just didn't understand was because I didn't have nobody 24/7, right? When you only have influence this amount of time, then whatever influences you this amount of time supersedes that, right?
Mhm.
So unfortunately, because I didn't live with them, I only seen them for 2 hours a day after school. Their influence only weighed so much on me because the other influence I had on me was dominating. You understand? But it still helped because once I got to a point mentally where I could start making decisions for myself, and I was mentally mature and strong enough to understand what path to choose, then all of those lessons that they were teaching me, I used that as my foundation and I built upon that.
And look at where you are today.
Yeah.
So it does matter that a child has both parents involved.
For sure.
And if they don't have both parents involved, at least find those role models.
Correct.
That can be around your child so they can get, like I said, different perspectives, like different ideas. And you are right. I think if you have a son and it's a two-family household, like regardless of how you feel about the other parent, the love for your child should be more. What you do, what you feel is right for the child. Because we all have to take accountability for the choices we make in our significant other.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yeah.
And sometimes people need to account for that. Instead of you being upset all the time, you probably knew who you were going to most likely have a kid with. Right? And sometimes people think children change things, and children doesn't change character. The character that you were before is the character most likely you are after. Right? So I say to people, try to make better choices sometimes and meeting someone that you want to have children with, because it's a lifelong decision. And people sometimes take that very lightly and think like, oh, I get it, we're having fun and all this other stuff. But I always tell people this, if you don't see yourself marrying this person, think twice before having a child with this person, because at least marriage, you could cut severed tears, get divorced, whatever. But your blood is your blood. And that person will always be that person's parent. So you're going to have to deal with them for the rest of the life of that child, whether you want to or not. So I commend both of you guys for having two different perspectives, because there's a lot of boys out there that I worry about that are coming from single parent home, and not to say like the moms are not doing the best they can, but you could tell my dad was always a disciplinary person. Like my mom was a nurturer, but to this day, God rest my father, rest in peace. If my dad said something, I'll be shook. I'll be a grown adult shook, because not that I was he was abusing me. He wasn't abusing me, but he was a disciplinary person. He was a person that was like, nah. Like my mom was a lover, and my dad was like the order, no, that's not happening. You don't have to go to mommy, because mommy knows what I'm about to do to your ass. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I think kids need, when I see these boys running the streets, running amok, no judgment, because I don't know what's going on in people's household. The first thing I say is there a dad in the household? Because most fathers are like, nah, you ain't doing this in my house. And what happens with boys sometimes is the boy gets taller than the mom, and boys are looking at mom sometimes like, you can't tell me what to do. Like, you know what I mean? I could punch you right now. Like, you're not going to stop me. So boys need their dads. Boys need that authoritarian person that's going to tell them, not me, son.
Yeah.
You can do this with your mom.
Let me add this in there too, though. And I have to say this. Yes, primarily when it comes to a man and a woman being together, because the man is the protector genetically. We are designed to protect. We're designed bigger, stronger. We're just designed as the protector, right? So primarily we take on that role. But guess what? As important as it is for us to be a disciplinarian to boys, it is also super important. Probably the most important job that we can ever have to young females is to be the first example of how a man should treat a woman. So when you have little girls, then she's not learning from her mom how a man should treat her, because she's not going to date her mom. You understand? So the lessons that she's going to travel with for the rest of her life on how to let a man treat her, talk to her, and when she starts to make these decisions on, should I be with this person? Am I going to marry this person? Guess what she's going to look back to? How her relationship was with her father. With her father. And if you have a great relationship where he's instilled foundations and things of that nature, then you'll make better decisions. If you have a bad relationship, then she'll go out there looking for all the things that she felt like she was missing from that father and try to find that in somebody else outside the home. So you understand, this is why I say
basically, like women find voids.
Right.
Like whatever was missing, that's why sometimes you make bad choices when you don't have a dad in your life, right? And some women did have a dad in their life, and maybe the parent wasn't a great example. So you can't just say like you have a dad in your life and you're the best example, because I know a lot of women, that had great dads that still made bad decisions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's not a perfect system, Danny. Remember, we talk about this. You're never going to achieve 100% perfection. We're just talking about the probability of success. And the bottom line is, a two-family household produces a better success rate than a one family, than a one person. And one person means either the mother alone or the father alone, because once again, like I was a single father, and I've had custody of my son. He'll be 23. I've had custody of him since he was like 1.5. You understand? He's lived with me primarily his entire life. So I was a single father for my first child. So again, right, a single parent is a single parent, whether man or woman, right? But it's the importance of just understanding the percentages, right? Things turn out better when you have the village. Things turn out better when you have the support, when you have two people. It just turns out better. That's all. It's never going to be perfect, but you just get a better result when you have better tools at your disposal to help the child grow.
And what I would say, at least from my experience and people around me, man, we got to get the hell out of our feelings when it comes to our kids.
Get out your feelings.
We got to get out of our feelings when it comes to our kids. Like we talked about this on our podcast, sis, right? Like I didn't have a choice to have my first child. I was having fun. But at the end of the day, I had to man up, put my pants on. I had to show and improve. And I was 20 years old. Shit changed, right? I didn't have that option. But instead of me getting in my feelings, I'm saying what is going to be the best option for our child. But sometimes it's not always like that. It's not always like that. It's bigger than us. And that's why I need our culture to understand this shit is bigger than us, especially when it comes to our children. And if we put them in this situation because we in our feelings and we arguing and you did this and you talking to that one, who gives a shit? Because the only person who's going to be suffering is that damn child and our community, man. We got to get out of that shit. We have to.
I mean, we got to get out of it pronto, because it's really hurting our community. Even like I tell people, you don't have to be together. Just try to co-parent. No one says you have to be with this person. If you guys don't get along, you guys don't get along, right? But at least co-parent for the benefit of the child. And look, I've heard women that says I was abused by him. There's no way I could be in the same room with him. Oh, he did this to me. He cheated on me, or this. Like, okay, fine, but you know what? What runs in that kid's blood is their parent.
Yeah.
You can't cut the parent off, because I understand they did all these bad things to you. So I empathize with you, but that's still the kid's father.
Yeah, but we don't even call those people, we don't call them men. If you're sitting there beating on your significant other, your child's mother, we don't call those men. If you're not taking care of your children, regardless of what resources you have, don't matter if you're a millionaire, billionaire, if you have $20 in your pocket, it's time, effort, showing that you want to be there, and all those things that you can't put a price on. That's the real. That's the real.
Because it makes a difference, because a lot of kids feel like they're not wanted when they don't see the other parent.
And as a community, and we do this, man, we do this so effectively. Be clear. Pick a side of the fence, right? Stop straddling the fence. Stop trying to be liked by everybody. I don't care if you Oprah. I don't care if you Bill. I don't care who you are. You're never going to have everybody like you. Stop trying.
Yeah.
Pick a side of the fence and stand on it, right? Stand on business. So me and my cousin have a certain set of principles. Yes, we think differently. We have lived differently, but we stand on a certain set of principles. And our principles say this: if you are not aligned with our principles and we find out, right, because you never know, we might treat you a certain way until we find out you're not aligned with our principles. The moment we find out you're not aligned with our principles, then we correct you, right? We check you. Listen, we're not about that, because even though we're not doing a certain thing, like let's say if we know a guy beats on women, even though we're not beating on women, if we hang out with you and we're not checking you, and then we're condoning it. So we're condoning it, then we're just as guilty as you. So we'll check you. Listen, you want to hang out with us? We don't do that over here, homie. And I'm telling you ahead of time, you will not do that in front of me. If I see you put your hands on a woman, then you're gonna have to put your hands on me, and then we're gonna have a whole different conversation. You see, it's immediate. It's not 2 days, 3 days, but it's immediate, right? And if we feel like that person is not going to conform, no problem. You can't be around us no more. That's it. That's it. That's it. You can't be around us no more, because we will not associate with people that are not on the line. Because the thing is this: it's the law of attraction. The law of attraction. We are mammals, right? Human beings are still mammals. It's the law of attraction. You are who you hang around. You think, you dress, you walk, you talk.
Like birds together, flock together.
That's a fact. So if we keep aligning ourselves with people that we know are negative, that don't share our values, then it brings our value system down. Then that's not growth. That's digression. You understand? So we need, if we want to progress as a society, as a culture, we need to start holding each other accountable and start separating yourselves from people that you know are not doing the right thing, and stop being afraid to say something.
No, I mean, you're right, because look, you can't control what people do, but at least step up and say, yeah, you can control what you do, and you could at least say something.
Correct.
Because maybe that person never heard someone say something to them.
Correct.
Right. So, and I hate when people say it's none of your business. If we're friends and we're hanging out and I see something inappropriate, I'm going to say something. You could still do what you want to do, but for my integrity, I have to say something. Because I feel that
it is.
Maybe you need to hear it. Maybe things happening because no one is saying it to you. Because sometimes people are doing dumb stuff because no one has the guts to say something, right? And eventually, like with any situation, if it's not in a right foundation, there's gonna be cracks. So sometimes it's slow. You know what I mean? Like sometimes things go slow, but I'd rather like do it the right way, because you do it fast. And now these days, everyone got you moment. Everyone's waiting for your success to be sitting there like, oh, I remember when you did this. I'll wait 30 years. You know what I mean? Like people will wait. So you might as well just come out with everything in your closet, everything in your skeleton, especially both of you guys, because people will sit there in your lifetime. If you don't tell your story, someone else is going to tell your story.
Just so you know, Dan, if you was on our show, that whole coming out the closet shit, you the devil. Whoa, whoa,
we keep
whoa. Hey, yo,
no, because I'm seeing like a lot of men in our community. Look, think about it. I don't want to drop any names, but I'm seeing a lot of men in our community.
No, we just messing with you, Danny.
I know. But
ladies and gentlemen, this is how we bring humor. This is how we bring humor to our shows, because again, we're having a conversation, and it can be deep and it can get very intellectual, but you still want to have fun and it not seem overwhelming, right? This is how you can have conversations like this for an hour and 2 hours and not even know that the time is going by, right? Because it's not a mundane conversation. It's not a boring conversation. So these are the little things that we do on our show to just kind of, keep you laughing and keep you excited about the conversation.
And make sure y'all check out the episode with Danny, 3-hour podcast of
3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours. I'm a Gemini, so I could talk.
Hold on, and ladies and gentlemen.
First of all, give everyone your handles first. Give everyone your handles. Handles, where they can find you.
Okay.
Merch, everything.
Mr. More Than a Title on Instagram, and Jarrett Thomas across all platforms.
Yeah. On Instagram, I think of I am Chadeo.
That's the website.
Yeah, that's the website.
Become a sponsor.
I am Chadeo. I am Chadeo on Instagram. I'm gonna be honest, I gotta check, because most of the websites that I'm on, I'm under Chadeo, the CEO, because so it is I am Chadeo under Instagram, but it still comes up Chadeo, the CEO, because I run multiple businesses. What
are the businesses you run again, so people know?
So I had a construction company for a very long time. My very first business was actually a music label when I started doing music in about 99, 2000 in California, called Team Minutes Entertainment. That's when I started to get into the music business. My music business was first, Team Minutes Entertainment. My second company was actually, I opened two companies at the same time. I actually opened Chadeo Contracting, which was my construction company. I did construction for 22 years as my primary source of income. And I also opened up Iron Lions NYC, which is my fitness, wellness, and overall health company that I opened up at the same time. And then I opened up the OTB Digital with my cousin Jarrett. So this is actually my fourth company, and I got one more that I opened up after that. So I got 5 now. You know what I mean? But I will say this, right? I will say this. I opened up 3 companies before my cousin approached me. I was successful in all 3 of my companies. But when you want to take something to the next level, so I experienced success here. But when my cousin got with me, he's like, yo, we both experienced success here, but how do we get here? And shout out to David Shands. We had David Shands on our show. And one of the biggest things that we actually argued with him about is concentrating on one thing and mastering one thing, and not dividing yourself into so many different areas where it wastes your time and energy. And we kind of went back and forth on it, but I understand now what he meant. So I actually slowed down and kind of closed down the other companies and put them on hiatus to concentrate on the OTB, on the More Than the Title. This is all we're doing. We're not working for nobody. It's all in or nothing. And that's why you've seen the 250,000 in 5 months, because when you put all your energy into something, it fast tracks it, because you can get more done in a shorter amount of time. So
message.
Message. Because you put in 8 hours in one thing. Think about it. We all once was in corporate America. If you put 8 hours every single day in one thing, like your task, you get a lot done.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You get a lot done. And this is why there's billion-dollar companies, because they got 40,000 people working for them, doing a task, 9 hours a day, and they're just collecting the checks while they give you a little bit of money.
Just be clear, as an entrepreneur, there is no 8-hour day. I don't even know a day.
24 hours.
I don't even know a day.
We just get warmed up at 8.
That's a fact. Ain't no holidays. Easter, fuck Easter. We got work to do. You know what I mean? We ain't no holidays, no birth. We was on the call with Jarrett's birthday in Miami.
That's what I'm saying. Let's give them context, right? So people really don't understand, and we don't really talk about it on the pod like that. But like, running a podcast is its own business and its own entity within itself, right? So I've been in B2B companies where they were doing podcasts where it was 11 to 12 people working it, from production to booking to scheduling to coming up with topics, posting at the social media team, the comms team, all of that shit. And I want to let people know it's just me and my cousin. We don't outsource anything. We do every clip you see. We do all the copy you see. We book all our guests. We do the content. We come up with the ideas, and we're still running an entire social media agency.
The clothing
lines, design the merch, courses,
the merchandise, everything. The courses.
Where can everybody find your clothing line at?
Oh, let's put it in
the website. It's on the website.
Yeah, morethanthetitle.com.
So, go to morethanthetitle.com. The link is up there. That'll send you to the website where you can buy the shop where you can buy the clothes. So again, it's Dan, it's all about consistency. That's it. And networking. We talked about it, right? So for contents, ladies and gentlemen, I had the pleasure of meeting Danni first. I met Danni, and when she introduced herself to me and said, "I'm so and so," I said, "I already know who you are. You didn't have to introduce yourself. Just by the way you walked in, and I pay attention. I already knew who you were." And me and Danni actually built a relationship and started building our bond at the first event. And then
because of my daughters, everyone knows I love Giselle in London.
Your energy.
Jarrett wasn't there because Jarrett was at his son's birthday.
He was.
Jarrett wasn't able to be there, but I'm all about my kids. So anyone who gravitates to my kids, I tend to gravitate to.
I mean, we can go with that.
Yeah,
we had a good time. We had a good time. And again, right, we're just talking about networking, right? So again, we went to an event that Danni wasn't able to show up to this time, the last event that we went to, but guess what? She was invited, right? So we talk about the networking, right? We sent the invitation. She wasn't able to show up and meet Jarrett in person, but we invited her. So that's what we're talking about, the power of networking, right? Now that we've networked with Danni and we're in contact with Danni, we can share resources with Danni. We can offer Danni opportunities and vice versa. Is she going to take every opportunity? No. Some opportunities she might be like, nah, this is not for me, or my schedule doesn't allow for it. But but it's a numbers game, right? The more opportunities you have, the greater the chance of success, right? So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help each other become successful, create generational wealth for our families so that we can pass this
But
message.
honestly, that's how it should be. And if our whole entire community would work like this, we would just all be in a better place than we are today. Because I see other communities, that's how they work. That's how they work. That's how they work. That's how they work.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying we gotta work with the hand that we're dealt. That's just the bottom line, right? Yes, have we, went through some atrocities and blah 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 through our culture, absolutely. But we can still understand that. But at a certain time and a certain point, we still got to say, but how do we move forward? How do we move forward, right? And again, you're never gonna get everybody on the same page. So again, me and my cousin do not think about be clear. Our message is we're not saving everybody. We know we can't save everybody. Our message is if we can save one or two will end up saving another two, and then you start the ball rolling. So in our generation, we might not see the change fully that we want to have affected, but in our children's generation, they might live through it, right? And it's been the same for leaders that have paved the way for us to even be on this platform doing this today, right? All right. So again, they didn't live to see, Martin Luther King and all, the people that, Harriet Tubman and all the people that gave their life for this type of a movement. They weren't able to see this and come to fruition, right? But they had faith that it would happen, and we're going to lead by faith and do the same.
And quick little piggyback off of that too, bro. The reason why we're so passionate about not being gatekeepers, putting our people onto opportunity, because we know nobody's going to save us.
Nope.
That's it. We know nobody's going to save us. So we know the work that's going to go into it, and we know everybody's not going to be able to do that work. But we also know there's a person right now that's close to the finish line. Need a little push. Just need something. The other podcast is calling.
Other podcast is calling us, Danny. See,
I know. So we're about to wrap it up. I'm so happy. I want to give you a cigar. You guys are popping. I'm so proud of you, bro. Thank you, Chadeo and Jarrett, for coming on. I'm Proud of You Sis, featuring I'm Proud of You, bro. I'm excited for what's to come.
Hold on.
So you guys,
we need I'm Proud of You, bro shirts. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay, all right. We're gonna make I'm Proud of You, bro shirts. Yeah, we're gonna make I'm Proud of You, bro shirts. Definitely.
We'll do the collab. We threw the more than
so one more question before we go. Yeah. Where do you see you guys? Let's manifest a little bit. Okay. Where do you see you guys by the end of the year in 2024? What do you want by the end of the year?
By the end of the year, to be honest with you, I want us to be more in the mainstream conversation in terms of culture and podcasting, right? Okay. I want us to be having more collaborative conversations with, like, our brother David Shands, with the Earn Your Leisures, with the Joe Button podcast, right? I really want to create something where we all kind of working together, right? And additionally, once we get to the place where we want to be, we want to give those resources right back to the community. We want to build community centers. We want to make sure people know how to pod. We're in active talks right now with the DLE to set up curriculums, right, around podcasting, social media, how to build your brand, how can you monetize those things. So that's what I really would like to see us by the end of the year. If it happens before then, that'd be beautiful. But right now we're actively, going towards that trajectory.
And what about you, Chad?
I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm kind of a like whatever this thing is gonna become, it becomes organic kind of a guy. That's kind of how I live my life. Like, I just feel like if I just work hard, because you can always want to do something and want to be something, and then something completely turn into something else, right? I never wanted to be a podcaster. I'm in a studio right now. I did music for 20 years. My cousin approached me about podcast. I'm no podcast. Ain't no podcast. You understand? But if it's meant to be, and I think May said it on the show with Cam, he was like, with everything happened, I was meant to be here, right? I left, and so whatever's meant to be, I will accept it, good and bad, right? Because I'm not going to say, oh, I only want the good stuff, right? So by the end of the year, I just want to be in a good health mentally, in a good space. I want to be in good physical form, health, and still be able to have these conversations and just keep pushing forward. That's all I want, just more consistency, and I'll take whatever comes with that. We're going to keep working hard and keep pushing. We have a unified message, me and my cousin, and that's all I ask for, right? Just the opportunity to wake up every day and continue to spread this message, and whatever comes from that, hey, we'll accept it head on.
Well, I want to say thank you guys both for coming on our show, and everyone, I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.